record on this computer. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Aligning with Success, Mike DiMuccio, your host here, December 20th, 2021, as we wind down the year 2021. I have my co-host here. We're going to celebrate our 30th anniversary in Nikken together, Botanis. And we want to give you, thank you. We want to give you a perspective of what it was like from what we can recall in our first few months in Nikken, because obviously we're here today because we must have done a few things right. And it wasn't by chance. It wasn't an accident. There was an effort involved. There was an organized effort. But I'm going to start tonight. And by the way, I want to congratulate. We've got some people. Paul Gabius is on the line. He just went platinum. Congratulations, Yay. Paul.
Thank you very much, Mike.
How you feel about that?
Oh, fantastic. It's like the Catholics talk about a mark that gets put on your soul with each sacrament. And I sort of feel like this platinum mark is here forever until it gets replaced by diamond. So I feel fantastic.
You know, it's fine. It's good because I kept referring to Paul every time we talk as a platinum. It's like, so in my mind, you were platinum already. I don't know. You caught up with it. I think we
caught
have
up with it. That's why.
Doesn't that make Mary Ellen a platinum as well?
It does.
Yes.
Congratulations,
so
Mary Ellen.
We've got a number of people who've got rank advancements here tonight. Forgive me if I don't get them all. Catherine, you just at rank advanced. Was it to gold or platinum or both? Because I've lost track.
Gold.
Okay. Platinum en route, right? Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the end of December platinum.
All right. Don't be hoping. Just make a decision.
Yeah, we're working on it. Me and my mom are working on it.
Awesome. Awesome. Who else do we have that's on the line that just went through a promotion? Fernand. There he is. Fernand. I see you on the second screen. Fernand just went gold. He's gold tonight. So he's your third gold on the Leo's team this month. Awesome. Awesome. Wow. Congratulations. How do you feel, Fernand?
I feel so great. It's incredible. I never thought I could achieve such a high score, if I can say it like that, in so short a time, because it's only since the 13th of August that I'm here.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Wonderful. Awesome. Way to set a pace for us.
And I'm still looking for platinum for the end of the month.
Well, why not? I mean, the month is not even over. So yes, for sure, for sure. And I was just getting started this time of the month. So right on.
And I've had some people go platinum from gold to platinum in December. So anything is possible.
Yeah,
absolutely. Did we miss anybody else who just went through a promotion?
Mikael is just.
Where's Mikael?
A new gold just this week, probably. Just missed a few points for this.
I'm about to announce it, but I'm just a few tips away. Yeah.
Why can't I see you? Where are you?
I'm here.
Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're on the screen number one. Okay. So congratulations. So you're like this close to gold. So we'll be hearing about it in the next few, day or two. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Wow. What a month. What a great month already.
My fourth.
We're not even half.
When you do it, it's my fourth on this.
It'll be the fourth gold in a month. Fourth gold in a month on Leo's team.
Leo.
We've got such a proud mentor. Thank you, Leo.
That's awesome. Leo, now you know how it feels, man. Isn't it amazing? I tell you, there's nothing better. When you achieve a rank, that's one thing. But when you see your team achieving, man, that's another level. That's awesome.
Michael, I can be proud of Mikael because she's my star in my team.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. Wonderful. Okay, well, you know what? I promised you guys a little bit of history. So that's what we're doing tonight. I see some of the Sovereign Life team has joined us. Welcome the youthful Sovereign Life team who are going to be the rage of 2022. I can feel it in my bones. And they just got off their team call, so I'm sure they had some plans for 2022 laid down. So let's give you a bit of a history lesson. I'm going to switch my camera to, let's see, I'm going to do speaker view. I don't know if I want to do speaker view. Let's just keep it gallery view. I'm going to keep it gallery view. So someone is speaking. If you can mute. Hola, Erika. Welcome,
Hi.
Erica. I just want to ask you if you can mute because we're gonna get started. Hi there. Hi there. All right. So let's time warp back to the year 1991. And at that point in time in my life, many of you heard my story, but just for a quick recap, I was going in reverse, in fast reverse. I was not living the life of my dreams, hopes, nothing. Struggling. I had lost a lot of momentum toward my career going forward as a musician. I had abandoned being an aerospace engineer altogether. I ended up working for a friend of mine as an electrician, building his empire, his company, his fortune. And all of that had transpired. I was also rear-ended in a vehicle accident as an electrician, and that resulted in me going through a whole journey of physiotherapy, chiropractic care, massage therapy. I'm compressing time here, but essentially I discovered, well, basically I was at a very low point in my life when I got a call from somebody who knew my plight. Both Bo Tanis and I knew this gentleman from a previous experience, and he was a mortgage broker where he had sort of made his mark. And he had come up with this Nikken magnet and proposal. I got a phone call to go and visit him, which I did. And he proposed Nikken to me, essentially letting me try the product, watching a video. Long story short, I had an immediate product experience right there and then on the spot. Within 48 hours of that, my dad had an incredible experience with the product, which was a small magnet about the size of a credit card. And that convinced me that it was real. Now, my plan was to involve people who I thought could do better at this than me. The idea was to sponsor up. That's what we call it. We call it sponsoring up. So if you think of yourself as, you know, if you got a pretty good, healthy ego, you maybe see yourself as a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. Well, let's just say I was at a point in my life where a 7 out of 10 was really reaching. And so I wanted to attract people who were an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. And so one of the people on my list was a fellow by the name of Bruce Black. He was a 10 out of 10 because, number one, he was already entrepreneurial. He had been in the business, a big business of camera chain across Canada with his brothers, had sold it for millions of dollars. So he had already the entrepreneurial experience. He was very influential. That's what the I stands for. Obviously, his influence is predicated by his success. So somebody who has a lot of success, financial success, wealth, and so forth, tend to be influential. That was a good assumption. And the last thing was resourceful, meaning if Nikken was something he could get inspired by in one way or another, he would have been a great resource for information, for leverage, for finances, whatnot, that may have been needed to get this business off the ground. So of all the people on my list, he was actually the top person, top rated. He was like a 10, an 11 out of 10. And so you would think, well, wouldn't you save the best for last? Wouldn't you get a little bit of practice first, get a little bit of confidence going, and then maybe go see your 10 out of 10 or your 11 out of 10? That would be the logical thing to think, right? You probably have all done that. I knew better than that. I knew that if I was going to get a leg up, I needed influence. I needed somebody who could help. So I asked him for help, not for me to go and help him. What could I possibly help him with? I just had a small magnet. Like, I didn't think that magnet was going to change his life, but I knew it could change people's lives. And I knew Nikken could change people's lives based on what I saw and experienced. So he was somebody with his influence could really affect people looking at this, at the very least, considering this, because there was nobody, there was no wellness previews, there was no online presentations, there was zero. So how do you start from zero, being a nobody with no influence, no money, no experience, How do you go from that to attracting an army of people? Well, the answer is whatever you're falling short in, go find it somewhere else. And that's what good CEOs actually do on purpose. They look for people who are more talented than they are, or who can fit into the places where they need the help. Anyway, that conversation led to Bruce Black getting involved. It was a wonderful experience. He had a product experience right on the spot, and he said yes. He got involved. And guess who he wanted me to meet with next? Yeah, you guessed it. So the very next day, I'm in the living room with Bruce Black and Bo Tanis. Now, I know what it was like from my perspective. I actually thought Bo was going to do more than Bruce, even though Bruce had the influence. I thought Bo had the ambition. He had the desire, and Bo can tell you why that may have been true for him in his life at that time. So why don't you pick up from there, Bo?
I was hungry. I had 2 small kids. Prior, I had 2 very successful video stores. Anybody old enough to remember VHS, Beta? And I sold those, made a very good profit. And I invested in a restaurant, did not go well, lost everything. And so I had no money. And once you've been an entrepreneur and worked for yourself, it's hard to go back to punch a clock and talk to a boss and yes, sir, no, sir. That wasn't going to happen. But I became a real estate agent because I had no other cash to invest in another business. And although the market in real estate was crashing, this is the early 90s, it did lead me to Bruce Black, who was a real estate client of mine. Actually, my client was looking for a very big, beautiful estate in the Toronto area. He was a Danish executive running his own computer company. And I took them to 10, 15 houses, all big, beautiful mansions. And he kept saying, do you have anything nicer? Anything bigger? So eventually we went to Bruce's house, north of Toronto, beautiful estate, an acre or 2, has a tennis court, a pool, a cabana, a waterfall. I mean, just beautiful. And long story short, I found out that he was in Nikken and he told me about the products, and I was very open to them. Now, very important point I just want to stress, Mike and I did have some prior network marketing experience. And for me, it was huge. It's like if you've never seen a car or driven a car, and then you get in one, you sort of don't know what this is. So network marketing, in a sense, is like a skill set. Once you learn a little bit about how great the business model is, all the many advantages of it, why would you not do it? And having invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in different businesses, this seemed like a dream come true. For almost nothing, you can start a business, get some great products, use them and believe in them. And for me, it was my mother's experience. I felt better. I had some knee injuries. I felt better because of the products. I did start getting up earlier in the morning and wide awake. And as a former musician, that was almost like a religious experience for me to be awake by noon. And but I was hearing the potential for high income, right, Mike? There were some people we knew that were making very high income. And I didn't know if the products were really affecting me or if it was the idea of income, which I really needed. I got the sleep system on my mother. We came from Europe after World War II as immigrants. When I was 2 years old, we landed at Ellis Island. And long story short, my parents worked in factories, and my mother worked in a factory for 30 years, swing shift, day shift, night shift, every week, different. So when she retired, she couldn't sleep, aches and pains, a lot of problems. And I put her on the sleep system, and I say, Mom, just sleep on it. I didn't tell her what it was. And within about a week or so, she called me back. And of course, my first language and what we spoke at home was Ukrainian. And my mother calls me up and she says, Bogdan, jak to może bути? Which is like, Bo, what the heck is this? How can this be? Now, I'm still very new to Nikken, and I thought, oh God, I hope I didn't hurt my mother. But she said, you know, I've been sleeping through the night the last several days. I'm taking no pain medication, and I'm feeling an awful lot better. That experience, you know, if you can help your mom, it's a nice thing. But if you can combine that emotional experience with the potential of what Nikken offers to help many people and help produce great income, a very loud noise went off in my head. I think Mike heard it too. Ka-ching. You know, before I had a family, money was not that important to me. I was a musician. I was young, traveling across the country, playing big concerts, TV. But when you have children, the game changes, and money became very important to me. And so the idea of being able to provide well for my family was very important. So it was the products validated with the business model that for me got me very excited.
So now I want to go back, Bo, because once you were on board and what we did, which was, by the way, around the same date. Yes, I think I sent those applications all at one time by fax to Nikken. And so we were starting essentially at the same time. I mean, we were a day apart, maybe, from learning about this and getting involved. Now, because we had knowledge, prior knowledge, that we knew if you had an opportunity of a lifetime, like Nikken appeared to be something that was extraordinary. Network marketing itself is an extraordinary vehicle for you to become, I like what one of our former colleagues used to say, for you to become as unequal as you wish to become. It's an equal playing field for everyone to become as unequal as they wish. So even though I had the background that I had, Bo had the background that he had, we were at different places in life. Bruce was at a different place in his life. What was common to the three of us was that we really felt in our hearts that Nikken was an amazing possibility. And what we had experienced, the little bit that we had experienced, was enough to compel us to get out of our comfort zone and reach out and inform people. We saw a big win possible. Now, we also knew Nikken was going to be officially launched in Canada as of January 2nd. So we're December 19, January 2nd is like 2 weeks away. What do? Bo, what were you thinking? I know what I was thinking. What were you thinking?
I was thinking that Michael knew some of the same people I did. And if I don't get my butt moving, he's going to contact them before me. Because he was running. You know, Michael shared what he did in his first 90 days, but and it's, you know, it's not that it's a race, but we want to find people for whom Nikken is the right thing for them right now. And it's not that for everybody. And we don't know who it is. Doesn't matter what they say, because some people get very excited and then do nothing for a few weeks or a few months. Michael, Lily, and Gally really got started after about a year, and then they exploded. But they were just kind of in and around Nikken. So that was very important, to run like heck, so that on January 2nd, I and the few people I had, about a dozen or so, we had applications and they had applications. We were getting people involved in Nikken.
Exactly. Okay, so we knew that January was going to be the official launch, but in the 2 weeks leading up to January, Bo was doing his thing, I was doing my thing, Bruce was doing his thing, and we were starting to collect people who wanted to be part of this launch of a new idea in this country, this emerging market.
And Mike, could I say something?
Yeah.
I think one of the great reasons for the success of that we had was that Mike wasn't selling a little Tupperware deal. He was presenting a very exciting opportunity with amazing products by an established global Japanese corporation with life-changing products, like an opportunity of a lifetime. So it wasn't like, hey, you want to make a couple $100 a month selling cookies or something. This was major. And that, I think, was very important what you did there, Mike.
I think so. I mean, I remember my goal was to earn $25,000 in my first month and to be #1 in Canada, which meant I was already thinking Canada, not just Toronto, but my mind was the scope of the country. Now, we weren't the only people who were involved in Nikken. We were not the only ones who were given the call. I remember when, we'll get to that, but I know Nikken had a Humans Being More event at one of the first or second week of January to sort of make their presence known. And that's how Nikken does it, usually with a Humans Being More event, where it was a 2-day all immersion. My first experience of a personal development course with Larry Prophet as the facilitator. And we got to see all the people that were there that were not part of our group. So we learned really quickly, hey, there's a lot of people who are getting the message, who are getting involved or learning about Nikken, who were not part of our group. So we weren't the only ones who knew about Nikken to launch Nikken in Canada, but something distinguished us from all the rest. And that's why you and I are still the lead income earners in Canada today, some 30 years later. And so what was that distinction? I think one of the things you just mentioned was the fact that we held a vision for a big Nikken. What we saw was Nikken as a huge possibility, not just a small, extra income, something on the side. So we were willing to do whatever we had to do, which means we were willing to take Nikken and make it a priority in our life rather than a convenience or something that we did when it was convenient. We did it, as we would say, ate till faint. I mean, literally, we had Nikken on the brain 24/7 because all we could see was the possibility of giving birth to something that would be so big. And we had reason to believe that. All we had to do was look at what they had already done. We just had to look at what they had already done. It wasn't a long shot by any stretch. And when we saw the products working for us and the people we cared about, well, then there was no convincing needed. So we knew that what we were seeing, what we were hearing was for real. So that eliminated the doubt. So now it was just a matter of leaning into this and doing the best we could. And so those first 2 weeks leading up to January 2nd, we started to attract our team, what we call our inner circle. And I remember we had a meeting in a basement in Mississauga, but I think there was 10 or, correct me if I'm wrong, but I still remember the number 11, 10 or 11. Yeah. So including me was 11. So we're 11 people in the basement by this time. And we figure, okay, we've got to give this January launch an effort, a campaign. We got to organize ourselves around this. And I'll tell you, there was several fronts that we did. We even put national campaigns, a national advertising campaign together to tell everybody we're here. Giant Japanese company launches Canada. We did what we had to do whatever we thought we needed to do to give ourselves and Canada an opportunity to learn there was a new kid on the block. There was something big to talk about. So we wanted to present the bigness of the idea. So now, yeah, that took some money. So we'll get into that in a second. But so the last 2 weeks of December, the time frame we're in right now, we were projecting a January launch. We were thinking in our mind how to make that January launch effective was we're going to need to have our core team of people, our inner circle. So what we did in this 2-week time frame was we literally invited people to participate in the opportunity of a lifetime to launch this Japanese giant. This is exactly what we called it, the Japanese giant, to launch them in Canada. Now, for some of you might think, well, wait a second, this is now 30 years later. Can you still make that case? Can you still make Bo, can we make the case for launching Nikken in Canada?
The size of Nikken relative to the population is much smaller now than it was 30 years ago because of population growth exponentially. So there are far more people and a much bigger market for us to grow into than ever before. What is still the same is great products, solid company, life-changing products. Mike and I and a few key people, when in the beginning, you know, we only had the magnetics, and to me, they're still magical. But at the meetings, we would put products on people, guests who knew nothing about Nikken, put them on products on the people who has a sore shoulder or who feels a little tired. We put Kenko seats, flexes, insoles. And at the end of the meeting, we had several testimonials right on the spot. Now, to me, that was beyond magical. It was like, what the heck? And so it got very exciting. So all those combined made for an exciting opportunity.
So again, those first 2 weeks were critical because what we were assembling was our inner circle. These are the people who were the first candidates on our list that we wanted to involve in the launch. See, Nikken wasn't yet official, so we would be talking about launching this Japanese giant in Canada. So it's like it's like being given a heads up on a stock that's about to go public. You know, if you were given a heads up on a stock that you knew was about to go public and you knew this thing was going to go from $1 a share to $100 a share in the next months to come, who would you invite? Who would you tell? Who would you invite? How would you invite them? What would be the tone of your voice? What would be the inflection? What would, you know what I'm saying? So it was like that. It's like we had a secret, and we had a really big secret because Nikken was a sure thing. We knew Nikken was a sure thing because it already had a track record. It had already proven itself in 8 countries before it opened up Canada. So we knew this was a sure thing. And therefore, when you knew, if you knew you could bet on a horse that was going to win, how much would you bet? So it was like, if you knew it, how much energy would you put into it? How much excitement would you attribute to it? You know what I'm saying? So imagine that's us in 1991, December 1991, while everybody's sort of getting set up for Christmas, we're getting set up for the ride of our life, because that's what we felt. We felt it was a sure thing. We had nothing to lose, everything to gain. And certainly between Bo and myself, we had the reason to do it, the motivation to do it, our own personal reasons. So now we have this meeting in the basement. There's 11 of us, and we decide, okay, we need a calendar of events. We need to plan, what are we doing in January? We need to meet with people. We need to expose Nikken. And the best way to do that we had learned from previous experiences, is let's have meetings in a hotel and let's gather some people up. Then we'll spend all our time contacting and inviting people, getting them excited enough that they would drive to come into one of those meetings. And so we figured, okay, what would be a good meeting schedule that would really give us a chance to put Nikken on the map? Now, I didn't have the money to pay for hotel meetings, and you had to write a contract. You have to go to a hotel and, you know, sign a contract if you're going to rent a hotel. So that's where it was a really good thing to have a Bruce Black in your partnership, because he did have the resources to do that. But because it was a business, what we were going to do is we were going to charge people at the door, and then that door cost of entry would pay for the room. And that's how we did it for the first few months. And then it went on from there. But the idea was we needed to put a lot of people through this information in a short span of time. Lots of people. Now, so plan number 1 was we needed a calendar of events. And we had a very, very aggressive calendar. We figured if we could get people into a meeting, all they needed to hear was what we had heard. They would hear our story. They would hear other people's story. They would get to try the products. They would hear live stories. And then we would tell them the story of Nikken that we had learned, the company of Nikken, the industry that Nikken's involved in, the products they represent, how the business plan, the compensation plan works, the kind of training and support that was available to them, and then invite them to make a decision to join us right then and there. We had application forms already ready. They were photocopied, but at the time that was fine. You just fax in a photocopy application, you're good to go. So we were ready for business. The store's open, we're ready for business. Now all we have to do is get the people into the theater. So the job that we faced was in the hours of the day that we didn't have a meeting, and in the hours of the day that we weren't doing something else, we were contacting and inviting people. Now, Bo, give us an example of some of the contacts you made. How would you have made a contact then?
First of all, I contacted people on my list. I made a list of names, and some of my best friends in life. Of course, they're going to join me. Yes, they're all going to go Royal Diamond.
Wait for the shoe fall.
You know what? I had a number of people who said, Nikken, magnets, network marketing, Bo, have you lost it? And it was disheartening. But I realized a number of these people weren't going to pay my bills. They weren't going to pay my rent. And I knew Nikken works, the products work. We saw it every time we had a meeting. We had great testimonials, my mother's story, my kids' stories, just many, many testimonials based on the efficacy of the product. So we knew, okay, John doesn't believe in it, maybe next time. So we just kept going. I kept going wherever I could meet someone, have a coffee, have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I would try to buy as often as I could. Because you have to remember, when I got started, I couldn't really afford to do Nikken, and I didn't have time. Had no money, had no time. I'm working in a failing real estate business and struggling financially. But I realized if I didn't make a change, nothing was going to change. So, you know, when your back is up against the wall, and you don't have to have your back against the wall to be successful in Nikken, but it was the motivating factor for me. There was no maybe, there was no, you know, I even had somebody who I knew well who was in Nikken. And in the first few months, my Nikken income went up and down like a toilet seat. $1,500, $300, $100, $2,000, you know. And a good friend of mine said, you know, maybe you should get a job. And, you know, I was thinking about it. I'm so glad I didn't. But I just kept going. And wherever I could, I would find people. And the question that I asked, and Mike and I learned some very valuable ideas, that is to ask people what's important to them. You know, what are you looking for in your life? And we had a series of questions that we could ask. You could ask about the 5 pillars of health. But basically, we found out what they wanted. If I was approaching Leo, I'm doing something called Nikken. I'm very excited. Tell me, Leo, what interests you most? Financial health or physical health, or both? And so we got the answers. Some people said physical health, some people said financial health. A lot of people said both, you know. So just follow the interest of the person you're talking to. Try to meet with 1 or 2 people a day. They're not necessarily going to be ready to make an important life-changing decision right then and there. So following up in 24, 48 hours is important. ABC, how many people did I have talked to Michael or to Bruce Black or to anybody who was not me? The A is someone who is not you. It's third-party credibility, and it adds to the power of your presentation. So Michael and I did many, Bruce and I did like almost every day. So wherever I could find people, I made a list of 160 people. And
Your list was bigger than mine. I had 154 names on my list.
oh yeah. And I had spoken to one of the top people in our upline who was making very high income, had a large team. And he said, "Hey, Oma." I said, "Why are you successful?" He said, "All out massive action, all out massive action." And I got to tell you, if I may, Mike, in my previous company, I struggled. I got to maybe a level similar to silver, and then my business tanked. And in that compensation plan, you had to have 6 people, and then you help them grow, and you become very successful. I had 6 people. I thought, wow, All I have to do now is just love and nurture and train and teach these 6 people to become successful. The problem was they were the wrong 6 people. They weren't the people. And so instead of me chasing people, when I got into Nikken, I thought, I'm going to do what Mike's doing, because he sponsored 35 people in 60 days, something like that, Michael.
Correct, yeah.
I want to sponsor more people that I can even handle and let them chase me for my time. And that is exactly what I did. I put together a plan to contact 100 people, 1 or 2 people a day for about 3-4 months. Out of that 100 people, 65 said no. But we had enough excitement going on. I didn't care. Of course, I wanted them all to get involved and win, and they weren't all interested. 35 came to a meeting, and they either signed up and bought some products, some bought a little. No, 20 of them, of the 35, at least signed up and bought some product. But out of those 20, about 5 of them were serious. They wanted to go silver. They wanted to go gold. So I put my focus on those people. When you have people who claim they're committed, help them make money. Shift your focus on helping them to go silver, gold, platinum. So as many people anywhere and everywhere that you can find.
So Bo, so you met them in coffee shops. I mean, I went to people's offices. I basically met them where they were willing to meet me, whether it was a coffee shop, their office. These were meetings that were initial contacts. The idea there was just to pique their interest. It wasn't to get a decision. It was to get them to the meeting. I knew that I needed them to be in front of other people to see and witness the dynamics that happen when you get them in front of an audience of people who are raving lunatics about Nikken, and we're experiencing the products and having live testimonials. There's an incredible feeling that happens when you realize there's a lot of other interesting and intelligent people in this room who think this is a good idea. Then it's not Mike DiMuccio's idea. It's not Bo Tanis's idea. It's like, wow, there seems to be a general consensus here that there's the word I'm looking for, something proof, not proof of
Social
concept,
proof.
but say that again.
Social proof.
Social proof. Thank you. Social proof. So the event was not just to reiterate what they had already learned and maybe learn it from somebody else, but it was to gather the social proof, to see the evidence that we weren't crackpots, that there were reasonable, intelligent people in the room who were feeling the same feeling, and that would compel people to take action, to step outside of their comfort zone and take action. And then, of course, because we had such an amazing calendar of events, all we would then do is say, come back and bring someone, bring 2 or 3, 5. And so we had a succession of events that gave a flow of people to experience momentum. So this all-out massive action without that calendar was not possible. That calendar galvanized our commitment. Now, I'll give you another example of that. The 10 of us, 11 of us in that meeting room, when we made the decision to put this calendar together, and I haven't got into what the calendar is yet, I will. The one thing we promised each other is that we would be in attendance at all the meetings. So we knew if and there was at least 2 or 3 meetings. I remember we had a lot of sandwiches to eat because we were the only 10 people there. So we were planning a lunch meeting thinking we're going to get all these people at this lunch meeting, and then we had tons of sandwiches that we had to eat because there was nobody else but us at that meeting. So that happened, but that's okay. We were together. The key was that we made a commitment as a team that we would show up at the meetings, and because we were together, I knew Bo was going to be there. He knew I was going to be there. So I knew I could count on his story. He knew he could count on my story. I knew I could count on Bruce's story. So we knew we had the stories that we could count on, that people could hear if we didn't have, new stories to tell. And so since we were going to be there, we did our best in the times that we weren't at the meeting to invite people to the meeting, meeting them in person, giving them a demo, talking a little bit, finding out their why, their motivation, and inviting them, creating a compelling reason for them to get out of their comfort zone and come to that meeting that night and learn about Nikken. And that's how we did it for a month. We grew from 10 people, 11 people, day one, to 300 people by the end of January. That's how fast the organization grew. Now, there's something we haven't mentioned yet, Bo, and that was say less to more people using what?
Using tools.
Yeah. So there were two videos that were very popular. We just took the videos that we were sent, and one was called Humans Being More, the Nikken video, the one that I was first introduced to. And another one was this doctor who was talking about the Nikken technology, which we learned wasn't a good idea in the long run, but it certainly helped us in the short run. And what we did was we found a video duplicator. Because, you know, Bo being in the video business, that wasn't hard to find. So we find a video duplicator who was willing to duplicate these videos for next to nothing. It's almost at cost. I can't remember, it was $3 a video, something like that. So when we would meet, the team would meet, all those videos that we had duplicated, everybody got a pack of 100. So now you think about this. You got 100 videos you just paid $300 for. What are you going to do with those videos? Get them out, and get them out as fast as you can so we can get people into those meetings. So today, do you have to pay $3 to hand a video out? First of all, you have to show up to collect the video. Then you have to physically get the video to somebody. Then you have to convince that somebody to actually watch the video. And then you have to follow up with that somebody and hope they watch the video, and then get them to invite them to the meeting. And of course, they probably left the video back at home. So now you are out of video and you need to get more videos.
Mike, can I say something
here?
Following up with people is important. In my previous company, I had a video store, and one of my good customers came in and gave me a video for a network marketing business. He said, Bo, watch this thing. That's all I'm going to tell you. Watch it. So I take it politely and I come home, put it on top of my VCR, and it stays there for weeks. And he would come in every now and then. And Bo, have you watched the video? No, I've been so busy, you know, life. Bo, watch the video. This happened a couple of times. And I knew him well enough that he could use the F-bomb with me, no problem. And he did. Eventually he said, Bo, watch the video. And he said something really interesting, and you have to get creative. He said, Bo, out of your entire life, 10 minutes, watch the effing video, and then I will never bother you again. So I'm very visual. My entire life, 10 minutes, okay. I watched the video, and it was compelling and interesting enough that he invited me to a meeting, and it was network marketing, and it fascinated me. So follow up with people. They're not necessarily going to be excited day one. Follow up is so important. One other point, Michael, if I may. The reason for the launch is that we have 2 stories to tell people, and we'll tell them forever. And of course, our product story, the efficacy of the product. I've told my mothers and my kids and other people's stories about 17,000 times. But the other story is our business success story. And if Michael told me, hey, Bo, I'm doing Nikken. I've been doing it for 18 months and I made $18 in that time period. I don't know if I'd be very excited, but I knew where Michael was going. And we heard from other people in our upline who had done the right things and made very, very good money. So if you can get as much success going quickly in the month, 2, 3, 4, 6, whatever it takes, so you can have a lot of great product experiences from people you've helped, but also a check. You know, this is business. It's not a philosophy, although it has a beautiful philosophy behind it. So would you like to attract people who've had some business experience like I had, made money, lost money, and then when they found Nikken, they go at it 100 miles an hour? Yes, you definitely would. So produce some success as quickly as you can. And we can't guarantee who will do what, but if you get enough people on your team, 10, 15, 20 people in a relatively short period of time, some of those, only a few of those, many were interested, and they went silver, they went gold. I almost didn't have to, remember Ihor Lenko, Michael?
Mhm.
You know, I'm going at this speed, and Ihor Lenko's going at that speed because he was in business, he was in real estate. He knew big numbers. And so we're looking for those people that can really accelerate your business quickly. Very important.
Really good points. So by the way, the reason I even had the audacity to think $25,000, I remember writing that on the whiteboard in that basement, was because our upline had done that. And I figured, okay, well, if that's the bar, if he set the standard, if that's the bar he set, then why not go for it? I mean, I've never done anything like that, but that's the bar he set. So let's set that as a course. And the whole team was there. So they knew that that win would be significant for them. Do you know that when you're the leader of the team, when you're one of the first people of your, well, you are the leader of your team, the standard you set for them, the win you create is a win for them. Your story, your success story is a story they can leverage. Hey, my sponsor, this is what they did. And so I knew, being the first in Canada, if I didn't have a good story as the leader, who's going to follow? Nobody's going to follow. You got to have a story. So the first 90 days I had learned was critical to creating a personal success story, because if we didn't have something to show people that was possible, then there would be no validation. Oh, good for those people in Japan. Good for them. I'm glad it must be different in Japan, special in Japan. They're different over there. If we had no evidence that this could work here, that we had to create our own evidence of, then no one would follow. So the utmost importance of that first 90 days, I knew, Bo knew, we understood. So that's why we put together a very aggressive calendar for January. We weren't even thinking February or March. We were just thinking January. If we can get this thing off the ground in January, we'll worry about what comes next. In fact, I don't remember printing the calendar for February until it was like the third or fourth last few days of the month of the week of January, days of January. So let's look at January 2nd. So we put the team together. The team knows we are launching a monster story. We're creating a monster story. This is going to be a huge success. And
Michael,
January, yeah.
We told them, we're going to do this with or without you. This is not a maybe. Join the team. The train is leaving the platform. And so that created almost a sense of urgency and a fear of loss. That was a big psychological point. And we meant it. We were going to do it no matter who was.
And that's why it worked, because we actually meant it. And so so then the goal became to get the people into the meetings using the videos, using our story, using the demos, whatever you had to do to get somebody interested, that they would take the time to do their due diligence. And in that time frame, the due diligence was a meeting. Now, today, it'd be pretty hard pressed for you to get somebody to get to a meeting in the schedules that we're living today, unless it's an online meeting, or unless it's something that you've got in the way of video. So Zoom has been such a tremendous tool for us because it's solved the biggest problem in our business, connecting people through time zones, connecting people through traffic, and so forth. It's made it possible for people to sell the real story, which is you can have a business from home. We used to say that all the time, but you would never find me at home. You'd find me in a hotel room somewhere. So now we genuinely have a business from home.
I think it's important, Michael. You know, I know some people there are listening. Well, this is not 30 years ago, and the world has changed radically, and certainly the technology has helped. So in many ways, it's easier. Sometimes I would ask Mike, can you do an ABC with me at the Tim Hortons coffee shop? No, Bo, I'm here. Bruce, can you? Now anybody, it's so much easier to get someone to do an ABC with you. And I would recommend highly to do as many as you can, to have two people talking, you and your sponsor or someone else talking to your guests. Two heads are always better than one. One of you will think of something to say or ask that the other did not. And so the world has changed, but the fundamentals still apply. Use the products, believe in the products, believe in the opportunity. Most people in network marketing in Nikken love the products, but their understanding of network marketing is really quite low. And I was like that in the beginning. I remember, oh, I want to go see my good friend John, but I hope he doesn't ask me about network marketing, because my belief and knowledge was so limited. But over the next few months, remember, Mike, once we went to Montreal and we were driving and we had cassette tapes of John K. Lynch.
Yeah.
And he wrote one of the first big books about network. So 5 hours to Montreal, 5 hours back, we were listening to John, and I was doing that every day, learning about network marketing. So my belief on network marketing came up. So if Michael or my friend John said, is this network marketing? I say, of course it is, John. Where else can you take a tiny amount of money, share something you believe in, and have the potential to make good or extraordinary income and help a lot of people? So my whole attitude, my language changed. Become a student of network marketing. 2 books, Go Pro by Eric Worre, very, very important, and The 4-Year Career. There are other books, but those are 2 great ones to start with. There you go,
Right there.
right there.
Yeah.
Read them 10 times.
Yeah. Cool.
And-
Okay. So good advice. So now we've got videos doing the talking for us when we're not there. By the way, just an FYI, again, I want to get back to the numbers so they understand the degree that was involved in this launch campaign, because it set in motion a career that's lasted you and me 30 years going on. We, and this is not something that everybody has done, but we learned that this was the way to do it. And that's what we then did. And we don't ever regret doing it. You'll hear all the $1 million earners in network marketing discovered this secret to creating all that massive action and momentum. Because once you hit critical mass, the most elusive thing, you get critical mass and you can't stop it. Leo's starting to experience critical mass. He can't stop what he started. It's now beyond him. And when it gets
Mike does
beyond
not
you,
have
you're
to
chasing your
motivate.
business.
Mike
Say
does
again?
not have to motivate Leo. He's discovered it for himself. He's building his business. He's empowering his team. We're looking for Leos. Everybody together. We're
We're
looking,
looking for Leos.
But that's true. He is a prime example of self-motivated, big-hearted guy who wants to do something good.
Yeah. Okay. So we went through, get this, 3,000 videos in that first month. I know because I was the one at the duplicators getting them duplicated. So that means lots of exposure. That means 3,000 videos were out there. I don't know how many were watched, but I would assume at least a third for sure got watched. And that meant a lot of people heard the message of Nikken in a short period of time because there were a lot of people handing them out. This is the key to a launch. It starts with the pre-launch. It starts with putting together a team who want to be part of a launch. So while we talk about you launching your business, the truth is you never launch your business. A team launches a business. You can start the pre-launch, which is to create that team and then gather that team and then create a calendar of events to launch together. Because when you got a bunch of people doing the same thing at the same time, you're going to have a bunch of new faces at every meeting. And when you have a bunch of new faces at every meeting, something happens. Magic. And that's what's happening when you guys are looking at what's going on in Leo's business. It's magical because there's a group of people working together. The collaboration is what creates the focus, the energy, the heat, the excitement, and that's catchy. And when you bring people into that environment, they're going to light up. That's that social proof. So number one, you got to do whatever it takes to put that little nucleus of people together. So I'm going to be teaching this, by the way, in the weeks to come. I'm going to be talking all about this because this is the launch strategy. This is the thing that made it work. Bo, you have a point?
Well, it's exactly that. Maybe some of you on the call have just one person in your team who's active, excited, maybe you have 3, 4, 5, get on a call together. Tell them where you're going. I would say if Leo and Mike and Natalie were in my team, I'd say, hey, this is where I'm going. I plan to go Royal Diamond. Who wants to come with me? Let's launch our group or our city or whatever we have, and let's get a lot of people exposed to it. Let's have a call every Tuesday or Thursday. Now you want to plug in, of course, into Mike's calls, into Nikken's calls, but you want to have your own calls so that you can identify, just like Sophia and Elena have, they have their own team and their own identity. People are joining you and that team. So do
Great
that.
point, Bo. This is part of that launch
Everybody-
strategy. This is a critical part, what Bo's talking about. So we're not just inviting people to join Nikken. Anybody can do that. There's no distinction there. And what does it take to join Nikken? $20. So there's nothing special about that either. What you're inviting people to do is join Nikken now with you. And you have to have a reason why. That's important. Why is it important for somebody to join you now? Well, I'll tell you what, in the first 2 weeks leading up to January 2nd, and in the entire month of January, we were talking about why it was important not only to join Nikken, but why now? Because we were launching, they were at the beginning. They had a chance to be pioneers in the introduction of a new wave, a new technology, a new going concern, a new business venture. We created the story. Nikken didn't, we did. And that story could be recreated any day or night of the week. I'll
Mike,
tell you what
can
I'm
I,
telling. Go ahead.
Can I mention Gloria Nava?
Sure.
So don't just work with the people you sponsor, work with their people, and their people. One of the biggest consultants in the world of Nikken now is Gloria Nava. And at one point she was on my 7th level. And once she got really active, I flew down to Mexico, and she's in Mexico City and has a very, very large team, maybe 30,000 people now. But when she joined Nikken, she had a very big family, about 10 brothers and sisters, all professionals. And she was married to a professor of marketing at UNAM, UNAM, the largest university in Mexico City. 300,000 students at UNAM. And her husband was a professor there. And he goes, yeah, honey, you do your little network marketing business and maybe you'll make some money. Well, within a couple of years, because she applied the things that Mike and I learned and I had taught her by going down there many, many times, her team started to grow. And within a couple of years, she was making more per month than her professor husband of 25 years. Within a few years after that, she had several of her brothers and sisters in her group, all of which who had laughed and poo-pooed at it because, they didn't believe in it yet. They believed in the products, but the business model, not everybody believes in right away. And what's the magic proof? Financial success. And so if you can, once again, launch your business and help your people to launch and help those people to launch, success begets more success. People who didn't believe me in the beginning, after I was making $5,000 a month a year later and driving a nice car, they were listening. After a couple of years later, and it doubled and tripled again, people were listening. And a different kind of people, professionals, lawyers, doctors. So, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, so let me tell you about this calendar because it's what got us on the same page. And when you've heard me tell this story, that when you listen to a symphony orchestra, if you're going in there and they're just rehearsing before the show, all you hear is a bunch of noise. You hear everybody doing their own little thing, tuning their instruments and whatnot. It just sounds like noise. But the second you get a conductor with some sheet music and he says, okay, everybody open your page. They open their page. They have the same song. Let's call that the calendar of events. And then there's the conductor who says, and then the music begins. And it's a symphony. It's beautiful. It's all these individuals each playing their own instrument, each having their own part to play, but together when they're played using the same music, the same sheet music they're reading from, the same rhythm. It's an incredible piece. That's what we were looking to replicate. We were looking to create an experience in that first month. And the way to do that was to have the same sheet music. And so that's how you bring individual agendas and individual schedules together, by having a single calendar of events. So now this calendar for us consisted of meetings, our presentations, which we referred to as either an executive briefing or a wellness preview. What's the difference? An executive briefing had 80%, the content was about the business, 20% about the products. And a wellness preview, it was the reverse. 80% was about the products and the testimonials, and about 20% was about the business. And the difference was the white collar person would experience a briefing, an executive briefing at noon, and the rest of the world, or the blue collars and the rest of the world, would experience a wellness preview in the evening. We had a Tuesday noon and Tuesday evening. We had a Thursday noon and a Thursday evening, and we had a Friday executive lunch. That's where we ate a lot of sandwiches one day. And so the idea was
one day, more than one day.
it was probably more than one day. And then on Saturday, we would have our getting started training, which was 9 till noon. Why? Because we assumed we would have people that needed to learn how to get started, and we needed to get them on the same page as the orchestra. So that's how we did it. That was our rhythm. Our rhythm was Tuesday, Thursday, Friday executive, and Saturday training. So if I was doing it today, I would be encouraging that rhythm, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And in the spacing of timing would be, you know, the noon and evening. That would where you catch the day crowd and the evening crowd, depending on their rhythm of their work schedules, depending on how aggressive you want to be. So we had 4 weeks planned out, plus one major event. Now, got to tell this story, because this story is, I think this is the story that tells you when we made our millions. This is the event that took place that galvanized our place in history with Nikken. We are in week number 3 of this incredible launch. I mean, we're just watching volume roll in now by the thousands of dollars every day. I was printing a report we call a genealogy report. To get that genealogy report, we have to send in a message to the company, and it would come back by way of a fax. So we would get a fax report. We could see a genealogy fax report like you see now on the computer screen, but on print. And I was printing one out every day to see what was going on, where were we at, and how's it growing, and so forth. Well, today you can just go in your back office and check out your genealogy in seconds. So it's a lot easier today to do this, to even plan something like this. So anyway, so we're on the day 21, things are going well, and we're picking up our guest speaker, who's going to be the guest speaker of our big event. And we're figuring that there's going to be maybe 250 people at this event. And in the car ride from the airport to our business headquarters, he gets a phone call informing him that Nikken has been shut down in Canada. Now,
Whoops.
What would you do? You have a meeting. You have the rest of the month planned. You got momentum. You got all this going on. You have goals. You have expectations. You have people who bet on this horse. And you get a phone call from the headquarters, from the office in California, telling you that Nikken's been shut down by Health Canada.
Mike, tell them why.
Because apparently there were medical claims being made. And we don't know how they would have known any of that, but we suspect we had made such a big noise telling people we were here that we probably ruffled some feathers, and some people were doing some, bad stuff behind the scenes to report, to get this shut down. And they were successful.
And I had heard, Michael, that somebody had run ads somewhere in the country making medical claims. Nikken magnets cure this and that, which is, no. But yeah.
So essentially, we were sabotaged. So now what do you do? What would you have done? Let's say you're 3 weeks old in Nikken, or 2 weeks old in Nikken, or maybe you joined Nikken last week, and now all of a sudden you get the word, oh yeah, here it is. another scam. These guys got nailed. Government caught them, and I fell for it. I can tell you, we lost at least half of the crowd just because of that, because they didn't know enough, they didn't believe enough. But we made a decision right then and there. The show was going to go on. So we decided to have the meeting anyway. And 230 people show up. Now, get this. 230 people show up at a meeting expecting to hear this incredible story. We know that Nikken's been shut down in Canada. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is what we made a decision to do. Go on as if the problem would be solved, because we had confidence that this, at that time, 16-year-old multi-billion-dollar multinational wasn't going to give up on us just like that. I'm sure they would solve this problem. And so we made that assumption. We made the assumption that Nikken would come through, figure it out. Meanwhile, we had to continue as though that was true. In the 24-hour period that scrambled, Bruce Black, Bo Tanis, I can't remember how many of us, figured out, I think it was through Bruce, we can ship products into Buffalo, New York, because they didn't shut down the United States. So orders could be placed as a US order, shipped to Buffalo, and then we would go down in caravan and bring those orders across the border from the freight forwarding place. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did for 6 weeks until Nikken got it sorted out. And we were back up and running the way it should have been. So through the end of January and the whole month of February, that's how we operated. And I'll tell you something, we lost a little bit of momentum, but not much. And I didn't hit my goal of 25,000, probably because of it. But I had a sufficient success story still in those first opening weeks. And so did Bo, that we have a story to tell today, that we're here 30 years later telling the story, because not only did we survive that experience, we thrived. Now, what's interesting for those of you who have been in Nikken longer than November, you just experienced this. You just witnessed what's possible when enough people focus and commit to the future. We were shut down the first 17 days of November. No one could place an order. Did everybody know what was going on? No. Did they inform us to the best of their ability? Did we know when it was going to be operational? We didn't know for sure. Every day was a hit and miss. Every day was a new report. But then all of a sudden, there we are. We're back up in operations. And in less than 2 weeks' time, we did more volume in November than any previous month of the year. How is that possible? Something changed in our attitude. Something galvanized us. Something said, we care about this company too much to let ourselves down and let Nikken down. And this is when you guys made your fortune. This is when it happened, because you showed up. You showed up. And I'm sure a lot of people threw in the towel, but you showed up. And that's what happened to me and Bo. And we're here today, 30 years later, you know, having enjoyed 30 incredible years, because we were willing to do the future. We were willing to bet on a future reality and not let the present or the past hold us back. So there's more to this story, and there's more details that I'd like to fill in, that I will fill in when I get into the specifics of the launch strategy in the weeks following, starting next week. But it's just, Bo, anything you want to add to this before we wrap up?
I do, just briefly. Leo, if you don't mind, if I can use you again, Madeline, and let's say Mary Robson. You want to find people like this, and we don't know who it's going to be. We can't look into someone's heart and mind and brain and know what they're going to do. Mike and I have experienced many people get very excited for a month or two, and then they kind of disappear. Life happens to people, and we cannot control other people. But if someone like Leo or Madeline or Mary get into Nikken, Nikken gets into them and they become unstoppable. And you want to have people like that on your team, because if 6 months later, those people each get a Leo, a Madeline, and a Robson, a Mary, now your team has tripled of leaders. We're not talking just about bodies and people buying products and customers. We're talking about leaders who are building a business seriously. And those people are few and far between, but you don't need that many. And so find them quickly. That's why we launch. If you could launch your business over the next 90 days, just get 3 serious people. And they may not be the one you sponsor. I sponsored a guy who got in and actually made it to silver. And then, remember Brian Billy?
Yeah,
And then
I
he
knew who you were talking
sponsored a
about.
guy, Seymour, who did the same. And within 90 days, he was pretty well out, but he sponsored, actually it was the other way around, but he sponsored Ihor Lenko, became one of the biggest royal diamonds in the world of Nikken. I did not know Ihor in the beginning, but I'm always working with the people on my team. Look on your group, who's doing anything, call them up. Hey, it's Bo, I'm part of your team. I see you're in Nikken, let's have a coffee. Get to know the people on your team, work with them, help them make money, and they'll get excited and they'll duplicate that.
Bo, how many
Leo,
people did you
Get
sponsor
a
in your,
Madeline, get a Mary.
Bo, how many people did you sponsor in your first 90 days?
20,
Remember? 20.
2021.
Okay, and I sponsored 35. If you had your first 90 days, yeah, if you had your first 90 days to do over again, you did well. If you had your first 90 days to do over again, what would you do different?
Sponsor 35. There's a saying, and you know, a lot of cliches in network marketing and business. It's like one of the sayings is somewhat true, and that is you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So, I don't know if I said that right.
You
But
did.
if you communicate with someone that this is something incredible, some will respond. If you're a most eloquent speaker and you're talking to someone who has no interest, no desire, they're happy with their status quo, you could be Shakespeare talking to them if you won't sponsor them or you won't sell products, right? So a lot of people is the key from my experience.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our little recap of our early goings in Nikken and some of the challenges we faced and the opportunity that we clearly saw and we wanted to do the best for ourselves, for our family, and for our future. So we lived those opening days, those opening months as though we couldn't lose, because we literally had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And because we treated it that way, some people caught the vision and were able to become part of this movement. I just want to add one last thing, and maybe Bo, you can comment on that as well. You know, as much as we have done, my network has done over $1 billion in business. As much as that sounds like a lot, how much does a local Walmart do in your neighborhood? Think of the millions and millions of dollars that flow through that local Walmart every single month. That would make us look like a nothing. So with all that we've done, relatively speaking, we're not on the radar. We're not on the radar. Most people don't know Nikken. The few that do only know about the products, and they have nothing but great things to say about it. So as much as we have done, Bo and I in our generation, talking to our generation, which is baby boomers, and most of you on this line are in that generation, there's an upcoming generation, Gen X, there's a generation following them, Gen Y, and a generation following them, Gen Z, never heard of Nikken. And yet all the things that are true for us in the 30 years we've experienced Nikken is true today. And it's true for the next 30 years for anybody who wants to participate in this experience, because Nikken is committed to the future. And so it's like starting on January 2nd, 1992 all over again. I really feel that in my bones. It's like we're giving birth to a new generation, to a new movement, to a new possibility, to an audience that has never heard of us. What's your thoughts about that, Bo?
the opportunity is truly limitless, and it's hard, I think, for the average person to grasp. You know, more people graduate high school every year than join Nikken or all network marketing companies together. 1 year. So, and they have babies, and you know, the population is growing astronomically compared to us. So in actual fact, we have a smaller share of that. I just want to say one final thing. I know in the beginning, although I've been in business, I'm really an artist and musician and a writer. I was never a great salesperson. And if you ever talk to someone who says, well, I'm not a salesperson, you want me to sell these bottles, or you want, tell them it's okay. We have something called an ABC system where we work as a team, as a community. It's not about you just selling widgets. And the other thing is, when you build a network, if you have a Leo and a Madeline and a Mary and a Sophia on your team, some or all of those people will be better at Nikken than you are. Now that's the magic to me of Nikken. Some people are more enthusiastic or better sellers or better talkers than you are. I'm pretty quiet guy. I wasn't in the beginning because I had to, but that wasn't, I had to go against my nature in a way. So when you build a big team, launch your business and find a few real go-getters, they're going to build a business and they'll be more effective even than you are. And that's magical. That's magic.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Bo. Thanks everybody for joining. I want you to come back next week. We will have a call next week because we are in pre-launch. I don't want to lose the opportunity to really help instill in you the horsepower to get into January with a running pace rather than a slow crawl into a walk. You want to run into January. You don't want to crawl into January. So next week, we're going to pick up on this with some strategy, some actual strategy for teeing up your launch. And come with some questions. If this inspired you to come some questions, or if you have some questions over the course of this week as you go through this week, and by the way, I know this week is going to lead us into Christmas. So for everyone who's celebrating Christmas, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. Madeline, you have a question. Give me one sec. Yeah, so bring some questions. If you got questions around how to conduct yourself going into this, we're going to talk a little bit more about the mental strategy, because there is a mental strategy to this. You heard glimpses of it tonight, which is have a clear understanding of what's about to happen, because you're the one making it happen. So you're creating a reality, and then you're going to find others who want to share in that reality and that experience. And together you're going to create the reality. You're going to create the experience. You know, when Nikken said, we're launching Canada, they didn't really launch Canada. What they said was they're opening Canada. They don't launch Canada. Nikken doesn't sell products. Nikken doesn't sponsor people. So all they said was Canada's open. And then they wait and hope that somebody does something. So that somebody's us. And it's what you make of it. So we're going to launch in North America this January. We are in pre-launch right now. Each and every one of you are part of it. The collaboration this time is going to be very different. When I and Bo launched, it was really a local effort. It wasn't long before we had business in fact, before the end of the first month, we had business in the US. So it already expanded into the US. So what's different about this collaboration is we get to do it online, and we get to do it across the nation, both nations simultaneously. When we have a gathering, which we will create a calendar of events, when we have a gathering, you'll have this opportunity to bring people, invite people too. And I'm going to encourage, as Bo did, while we had a regular public schedule, have your own schedule. You want to create your own team identity, because you are now going to build a team. You're not going to be part of one exclusively. You're going to actually be the owner of one. You're going to be the leader of one. That's how you need to, you're going to switch hats from I'm a follower of this group to I'm a leader in this group, because we absolutely need you to do what we have done and are doing. Expand the network. Reach out and invite people into this experience. We need all hands on deck. If we ever hope to make a dent in this 10 million active wellness consultants by Vision 2025, everybody's got to get involved. Everybody's got to pull. Madeline, you have a question, comment?
Not a question. No, I just want a comment, and I want to thank you for the edification, but to keep doing it. It's not one launch. I did it and I didn't keep doing it over and over again. I moved into kind of like a management education mode. But I want to compliment you, Mike. These past 6 years, you did launch North America and it's happening. So there's a team. So we already have relationships. We have new blood. We have new enthusiasm. And we know that there's a lot coming out from Nikken as well. The new app, some of us are involved in testing that. We have a president that is absolutely amazing. We have that calendar also, the corporate calendar to plug into. And I've been hosting and co-hosting the Better Way, the business preview. Leo's team has come. We need new people to present that. And that business team, Mike, I think that we should go back to having maybe a different host bring in a guest speaker, like a new platinum and a new royal diamond and whatever, to have that as a business.
That would be a fantastic call if you're featuring new
Other people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Add that into the Nikken Connect calendar and some volunteers here to co-host. So I just wanted to say that and thank you. And we have this relationship. We have the WhatsApp, we have these events, we have this relationship. So ABCs, that's the other thing. I've been an A more, as you know, not the B, to be quiet. So more ABCs, more Bs, be a B more often and be sure to call somebody else. Don't be afraid to call someone else.
Mike, I
Okay.
just want to let people know that they can call me. I do a lot of Zooms locally, nationally, internationally. My phone number is 416-567-7217. Feel free to call. If I'm out, leave a message. And 416-567-7217. Don't be shy. Whatever we can do to help, we want to see everyone win. Thank you, Michael, for being the leader you have been for these 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy
Bo.
birthday. Happy birthday. Yes.
Thank you. It's Batman and Robin on the line tonight. So Bo, there is no Batman without Robin. So thank you for being you. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bo.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
you
Christmas.
all.
New Year.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Happy holidays. Thank you.